I really didn't expect a book to come in the last few weeks of the year and to be the best thing I read all year. Beautyland is a novel about a girl, Adina, who is a member of a non-corporeal alien race, and she takes human form, takes physical form on Earth as a baby and as a child. She eventually gets a fax machine, and the fax machine allows her to communicate with the alien superiors. Her mission on Earth is to observe human behavior and to report back. It's a really interesting book. Just that premise, I kind of knew I was going to enjoy this book. It's kind of a silly premise, using a fax machine to communicate with aliens. But that actually kind of made me love it. I think, first of all, the entire story works as a piece on examining human behavior and the human condition. Adina makes these faxes where she talks about how she is confounded and confused by human behavior. And there are things where, throughout the book, the fact that we are in her head, we get to see the strangeness of human behavior through her eyes. And that kind of works towards helping us understand how weird and awkward our own behavior is. I think for me, one of the things for this book is how relatable Adina was. How much I found myself thinking like, yeah, I've been in this spot of like not understanding what this means or why this person is angry with me. These are things that I think I really understood very well. I want to talk about the structure of the book, because the structure it's one of the things that, like, early on in the book, it really scared me. Like, the structure kind of intimidated me. And the reason for that is that it's not broken up into chapters the way other books are. It's broken up into 4 sections, and each section is composed of vignettes. So these are 1 or 2 page vignettes that are stories of Adina's life, and then intercut with these faxes that she sends to her alien superiors and the responses that they send back. At first, this structure, I was a little worried about it because it seemed strange. But after reading it, after I got about 15-20% of the way through the book, this is the element of the book that most worked for me. It was the element of the book that I most enjoyed and most liked. I think it helped that it was easy to just pick it up and keep going. In the structure, each section, each chapter is built around the life cycle of a star, and those sort of roughly conform to the life cycle of Adina's life herself and what she goes through. So, like, the first chapter is in her childhood. The second one is, when she's college age and getting a job, and then the third one, et cetera, et cetera. And I think this works too, because we also get to see how Adina's perspective on human behavior changes over time. And that really worked for me. One other thing that I think is interesting about this book is the way that it's written. It is written from a limited third-person perspective because we are in Adina's head. But the actual text, sometimes I kept finding myself thinking that it was an objective third. And I think that works really well too, because it works as a kind of metaphor for feeling on the outside. We are in Adina's head, but the way that she is seeing the world and the way that she is interacting with the world, at times in this book, it really feels like it's objective third person. And I think that sort of blurring of the lines really works even better, to make this point of feeling alien to the world and feeling alien to your community and alien to the people around you. I think that speaks to a larger, more relatable feeling that I think we all feel. It ends up being one of the most beautiful, one of the most poignant. It's sad at times. It's funny and charming at times. There's like a chapter in the first part, I think it's in the first part of the book, where Adina's mother has sent her off to a summer camp. And when she drops her off, she laments that she's never been away from Adina this long. And Adina is confused by this, that her mom is the one sending her away, and yet her mom is sad about doing this. And it really spoke to this kind of idea that as human beings we have conflicting desires. and we have conflicting emotions, and we aren't, we're sometimes paradoxical. And I think that is an excellent element of the book, too. I think if you're going to talk about this book, you have to talk about, the idea that Adina, she's an alien from another planet, and is that real? Is it a delusion that she has? I think that there's a lot of reasons to believe that it is real. Like, I believe that, she is an alien from this non-corporeal race. And I think, I further think that this is real because later on in the book, when Adina is writing and publishing her observations about human behavior, she gets a lot of criticism from people who are calling her delusional or autistic or something, basically implying that she's making it all up, that it's not real. Either she's lying to herself or she's lying to everybody else. And to me, I think the fact that the author lampshades it that way is kind of I'm of two minds about it. There's part of me that thinks that it works really well because lampshading it means that we then imply that everything that happens is real. But then I also think that as a metaphor for any kind of human disconnection or confusion, I think as a metaphor it works maybe a little bit against it. I'm not sure if I believe that fully, but it was a thought that I had while I was reading. I think also, there's something about how this experience is so relatable, despite the fact that it's very niche. And this is something that I think, Marie-Helene Bertino, this is something that she said she was trying to do with this book, is to focus in on something so niche, and how that very niche, hyper-specific personal experience ends up being one of the most universal experiences. And I think that that's true here. Later in the book, there are chapters that are just so heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. And I found myself, just kind of, like, I don't know, like sad and kind of hating what was happening to Adina, but relating to it because of all of the things that happen in our lives that cause us to be, to be sad or to feel, betrayal. And I think that is probably the best thing about the book, to be honest. I think that the other thing about this book is that it was so hard to put down. Toward the end of reading it, I found myself really trying to slow down reading it, to take my time. I sort of realized that I was going to finish the book in like this sitting, and I was like, I really don't want it to end. And I ended up sort of purposefully putting it down and walking away, just to make it last longer, just to sit with it and to savor it longer. And then when I finished the book, I found myself really just wanting to sit with it and think about it and digest it more before I picked up another book. And I couldn't read anything until a couple days later when I picked up a new book. And I think that also speaks to something here. This book really, it came out of nowhere. It was a book that I really, I expected it to be good, but I really didn't expect it to challenge the rest of my books that I read this year for best book. I don't know where it falls in the line. I think it's probably tied for number one, along with the Broken Earth saga. I think it's probably tied there. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful book. And I found myself wanting more of it, wishing I could get more time with Adina, wishing I could sit there and be with her. I felt such a recognition with that character and such a recognition with her. And I felt like she saw me. I think multiple times I highlighted and made notes, like, is Adina me? Like, am I Adina? And I found myself just really resonating and relating to her experiences and to her observations about the world. And I think I could not have I think I think that really spoke to how much I enjoyed the book. Even the part of the book where she's writing she's publishing her observations, and she sees this criticism come in of people telling her that she's making it all up, that she's lying, that, really criticizing her writing. And the book really focuses a lot on like whether or not she's like really an alien. That's what she gets criticized for. So there's like a camp of people that believe in her, and there's a camp of people that don't believe in her. I'm definitely, as a reader, I'm in the camp that believes in her. But there's an aspect of that too, where she is making these observations about human behavior, and this has been a thing that I have felt so many times in my life, where something seems so obvious to me, but I can't convince other people of it, or I can't, even when I express it, even when I break it down and show it to someone, they still don't see it. And this idea of having a thought or thinking of the world in a different way and seeing it in a different way, and because of that not being able to relate to people is another aspect of this that I think is just really relatable. This is definitely one of my best reads for the year, one of my favorite reads. I think I definitely recommend it, and I think you should read it. If you like books that are about the human condition, if you like books that are maybe different, maybe not written in that sort of way, then I think you should definitely read it.